Welcome to the FanMouth Fantasy Roundtable. I'm Erin here with Dave and Jeff, and we're going to tell you who we like as a sleeper for Week 13. Dave, who are your sleepers this week?
Well, I got a sleeper quarterback this week, and he's well down on the chart. Heck, he wasn't even a starter last week. He deserves to be well down on the charts. He's had a pretty terrible season. But he falls into a good situation here. It's Brandon Weeden of the Browns. We've talked about the Browns. We both have the Browns tight end going this week. We obviously think someone's going to throw him the ball.
Yep.
Gordon's one of the top-priced wide receivers out there. The Browns lead the league in pass attempts. That's not going to change when this guy takes over. They've got a bad run offense going up against a good run defense. Jacksonville's actually got a decent run defense, so they're not going to stop throwing the ball. Plus, over a recent three-week stretch, Kaepernick, Fitzpatrick, and Carson Palmer all had 28.5 or more points against this defense. Those are not marquee passing quarterbacks. So I would say that Weeden this week as a 10,000 price, if he gives you 15 points, that's great. I think you're going to fall into 15 points this week.
Yeah, honestly, any of the sites that have him at 10% or under, I'm putting him in my lineup in at least a couple. You know, you have to have those low-priced guys because their ceiling just gets raised so high based on just what their price is. So I love that pick a lot. I've got a couple sleepers myself. I've got Fred Jackson, who we've talked about this week. CJ Spiller versus Fred Jackson. Who's the better pick there? The fact is, at least one of them is going to be good, okay? And this is another situation where I'm not going to do it myself, but if you put both of them in your lineup, I wouldn't think you were crazy, especially in like a heads-up or a 50-50 tournament where you're just trying to guarantee yourself, 130 points or something. You don't need just this monstrous score. I think someone's going to put up points there.
Well, I agree that I think Jackson fits well as a sleeper because he's very consistent. Usually with sleepers, you're talking about, this guy might not give you anything, but I kind of like him this week. With Jackson's the opposite. You know Jackson's going to give you something, and in a good matchup like this, I think he's going to exceed his salary for sure.
Yeah, with sleepers, like you're talking about really low-priced guys, you're usually having to deal with, okay, well, this guy's probably going to get like 6 carries and hopefully he'll do something, or 3 targets and maybe one's a touchdown. But with Jackson, like you said, he's going to get some opportunities. There's no way that I can see him having less than 10 carries or so, So.
Yeah, no, I've got one of these guys this week, a wide receiver, who's a classic example of, if he doesn't catch any passes, I'm going to say I never heard of him. In fact, I might use his real first name instead of the first name he goes by, Ace Sanders of Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville goes up against Cleveland this week. We all know that Cleveland, they have one of these shutdown cornerbacks. Jacksonville basically has one wide receiver, Cecil Shorts. I wouldn't put Cecil Shorts in my lineup because of that matchup. But they're going to come out throwing the ball. Ace Sanders could be a popular guy. He could get in this game between 6 and 10 targets. He catches 4 or 5 passes at the minimum $5,000 salary. We saw last week he caught a short one. He turned it into a big game. Just takes one of those in order to make him worthwhile.
Yeah, Buster Screen is awful, and that's probably who's going to cover him. I like the pick a lot. Again, another guy will probably put in my lineup. I like that we're on the same page here, Dave.
This is like never happened.
I know.
I think we're going to get on film.
Yeah, who knows if it's good or bad, though. We'll see. Maybe we need to mix it up next week. But I've got Riley Cooper, too. Riley Cooper is a guy that I was just shocked at what his price was. I had no plans on putting him in my lineup or anything, but we've talked about how his chemistry with Nick Foles is much better than it is with Michael Vick, and Nick Foles is the starter now the rest of the season. And this is a guy that is a little more touchdown dependent, so that's why you see his price a little bit lower. But it's a good guy to roll the dice on, because he can still get you a decent amount of targets and put up a decent game.
See, we added this category sleeper so that we'd have something to agree on. But Cooper was somebody on my list of about 10 wide receivers I considered for the same reason that I put Sanders in my lineup, because Philadelphia's going up against Arizona. Arizona's got one of these shutdown corners. He's going to be assigned most of the time probably to DeSean Jackson. You're going to see that's got to help Cooper get more targets this week, and he's one of these guys that you throw him the ball 5 or 6 times, that increases his chances of getting this one long one for a touchdown. He gets one long catch in the game, and you're going to say, I'm glad I had him in there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nick Foles. I have been all season, so I love this pick. I think that the DeSean Jackson getting taken out as a factor will help him immensely.
See, I don't agree with that, though. I think this is the perfect matchup for DeSean Jackson with Patrick Peterson, because Patrick Peterson's a guy that's going to give up a deep ball or two every game, you know? So DeSean Jackson is the deep ball guy, you know? So this is one of those matchups that looks bad on paper. Everyone is going to shy away from DeSean Jackson. He's going to have low ownership this week. But if you want to throw him in a GPP in a tournament, he should have a fairly low ownership rate because of who's covering him. But he has really high potential for reward, you know? He's a boomer bust guy, but...
Didn't you tell him this was the segment where we agreed on everything?
I know. So
I'm done. I'm
Sorry.
not talking anymore.
Sorry.
yeah, we better cut our losses and quit while we're ahead. Those are our sleeper picks for Week 13.